Welcome to Half-Armenian Cooking. I'm Michael Mikulka, and on this show we explore a variety of the most popular Armenian fusion dishes from around the world. You'll discover authentic multicultural cuisines, vibrant exotic flavors, traditional foods that definitely exist. Come join me and see what we're cooking today. Barabzez, Inchpesek, Shraklutun. Today I'm making Southeast Asian Zhingyalov Hats. Zhingyalov Hats is a specialty of Artsakh, a disputed territory within Azerbaijan that is primarily populated by ethnic Armenians. For the past several months, Azerbaijan has blockaded the corridor between Armenia and Artsakh, kept out supplies, prevented humanitarian aid, and is gradually starving the population. There is fear that this blockade will result in ethnic cleansing, but this story has been severely underreported in the United States. If you are unfamiliar with what is happening in Artsakh, I highly recommend reading some of the existing news articles about it and helping to raise awareness. Zhingyalov Hats consists of a thin dough that is filled with an enormous quantity of herbs. Then it's cooked until the outside is crispy and the inside is juicy and flavorful. We'll start by making that dough. It's pretty straightforward. You take some flour, a sprinkling of salt, say baraf to the camera, then add some warm water. Knead it until it comes together, adding additional flour if it gets too sticky. Turn it out onto a cutting board and keep kneading until the dough is smooth. Then cover it and let it rest for at least a half hour. In addition to the herbs, we'll be adding some crushed peanuts. They taste much better if you toast them first, so we'll throw some in a saucepan for a few minutes. When you can smell them, empty them out onto some aluminum foil lined with plastic wrap, fold it up, and crush them with a blunt object. Check to see if they're sufficiently crushed, and if not, pound them again. Next up, we're going to make a baste for the bread. This isn't traditional in most versions of Zhingyalov Hats, but it's common in the Southeast Asian varieties, and I like it in this context. Slice off some palm sugar and put it in a bowl with some lemongrass powder and the juice of roughly 60% of a lime. Mix it together, and it's done. This recipe requires a massive amount of herbs. We'll be using the traditional ones today: cilantro, sawtooth coriander, Thai basil, rice paddy herb, mint, and garlic chives. If you want it to be extra authentic, you should also buy some slug-infested loxa leaves and then throw them away. Basically, just pluck the leaves off the stems. The smaller leaves can stay intact, but give the larger leaves a good chop. I still have not learned to keep my elbow from blocking the view, but I promise you that the visual you're currently missing was me plucking the leaves off the stems and giving the larger ones a good chop. Next up, we'll be making a dressing to mix with the herbs. This is another element that is specific to the Southeast Asian variants of Zhingyalov Hats. Pour some tamarind into a bowl, slice off some more palm sugar, and add a bit of salt. Drizzle in some peanut oil, or olive oil if you're not paying close enough attention to what you're doing. Stir it up, and mix it with the herbs. Add the crushed peanuts and mix again. Take a chunk of your dough and roll it out into a wide oval. Take a few handfuls of herbs and put them in the middle of the dough. Fold the outer edges of the dough over the herbs and press to seal the edges together. Break off any excess dough and flatten it out, realizing too late that you should have removed all of the air before you sealed the corners. Roll it out with a rolling pin and/or your hands as needed until it's almost flat enough to be correct, but not quite. Don't worry, your second try will be better. Brush on the palm sugar and lemongrass glaze, and silently fret about how you didn't roll it out thin enough. This would ideally be cooked in a tonnier, but I'm currently making lavash in mine, so instead I'm using a saucepan sprayed with oil. Make sure it's nice and hot, then drop the dough onto the pan. Cook for 3 minutes, then flip it over. Cook for another 2 minutes, remove it onto a baking tray, cut it in half, and you've got Zhingyalov Hats. But is it any good? Yeah, it's crispy. It's a little bit chewy, but the inside is still soft. It's really juicy. You don't expect how juicy it is if you haven't had one of these before. I like the extra crunch of the peanuts. I think I could eat more than one hat. What's that, hachik? Hats is the Armenian word for bread? No. at my hair. What do you expect?